I have suffered through mental health struggles throughout my adolescence and young adult years. However, growing up with European parents that were educated very little on mental health topics, I didn't receive treatment for my struggles until I was legally allowed to make those decisions for myself. This made me very curious about how the context of where and when someone was raised impacts their experiences of mental illness. In the history of psychiatry, many treatments were based upon the religious ideologies and public opinion of the 17th, 18th, and 19th centuries, rather than the scientific evidence we subscribe to today. Retracing the history of mental health treatment, people in the 17th century believed that mental illness stemmed from supernatural sources and that it was the manifestation of evil, the devil, or even a punishment for the evil inside oneself. Thus, treatments for those suffering from mental illness, or just widely labeled insanity at the time, ranged from prayer to much more extreme measures, including physical beatings and exorcisms from clergymen. Many of these people were being tortured in jails or even wandering the streets, essentially homeless. Shifting into the 18th century, views on the origins of mental illness shifted away from the supernatural to biological reasons, as the intellectual age of enlightenment emerged and people began pursuing knowledge and science more than before. Physicians began to diagnose illnesses with loose terms including melancholia, which somewhat resembles what we would call depression, maniacs, madness, hysteria, and others, based off of the behaviors such as delusions, hallucinations, and inappropriate behavior, which was largely based upon the social norms of that time period. As stated by Benjamin Rush, a transitional figure in the field of psychiatry, mental illness was defined as a false perception of the truth, with conversation and actions contrary to right reason, established maxim, and right order. This affected women greatly because they were severely confined by society's expectations, especially in regards to their appearance and behavior. Women who cared too much or too little about their appearance or deemed overly sexual were considered insane. In the turn of the 19th century, however, the moral treatment emerged. This method of treatment focused on humanely returning man to divine order through more comfortable tactics than in previous years. The main idea behind the moral treatment was to establish routine and remove stressors from the patient's life, such as not being allowed to be visited by family. Within asylums, a space of healing to treat those suffering from insanity, people were subject to varying treatments, though these were often wrongly based upon race and gender. Daily routines included women often doing labor such as sewing and laundry, whereas men tended to have more stimulating tasks such as agricultural work with time for recreation. Throughout their treatment, it was common for citizens in nearby areas to visit asylums. While today it feels as though these visitors were blatantly violating the privacy of those receiving treatment, at the time they believed themselves to be inspecting the quality of the instruction, as well as observing the seemingly revolutionary techniques of being conducted by psychiatrists. History sheds a light on the unfortunate methods of mental health treatment in the past due to false beliefs about mental health origins. On a larger scale, it also speaks on the greater issue of ways in which science and logic appear to be based upon public opinions and religious ideologies of the time. These histories open my eyes to the fact that we must always keep an open mind and question what we are told to be true.